are listening to the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and, of course, the Glebe Central Pub. I'm your host, Brandon Piller, alongside at Anaheim Martian. And you already know, if it's the two of us on your screen or you're listening to this tomorrow, this has been yet another pathetic, embarrassing loss. This time, it was a 5-1 loss to the Anaheim Ducks at home. Martian, you had boots on the ground. Tell us all, was it as pathetic, embarrassing of an effort in the arena as it was on the screen? Because that was tough to watch.
I mean, yeah, it was tough to watch, Pilsy, but honestly, at the beginning of the game, I thought the Sens had some stuff going for them. They were snapping it around. The boys didn't look too terrible at the start for me, but then, as soon as Anaheim started scoring goals, it was like they just kind of disappeared. They just kind of went away, which is not perfect, but yeah, to me, I mean, Pilsy, I'm like, I don't know. It was just a weird game. And it might be because I was sitting in the rich people seats and the perspective was a little different. But I mean, the Sens had their opportunities early where they could have made some stuff happen, but John Gibson was kind of standing in there. I know he ended up leaving the game there, but for me, it was a weird one. I don't know. It just didn't seem like it was their night, and that happens.
Yeah, on the broadcast, Martian, our good friend Noodles, friend of the show, he mentioned the word disjointed a bunch of times. And that's how it felt. Like, how many times were we watching the Sens try to break it out of their own zone and a pass off the skate? Or a guy decides, you know what, the passes aren't working tonight. I'm going to carry it out of the zone myself. Slips and falls, blows a tire. Like, it just seemed that the Anaheim Ducks, we talked about it on today's episode. These are pissed off, angry Ducks, and they were looking for some vengeance, and they were winning all the loose puck battles. They were playing aggressive. Whenever the Sens would get the puck, it's almost like it was a grenade on their stick, and they had to get rid of it. So many turnovers, so much sloppy play that allows the Anaheim Ducks to have prime opportunities. And look, obviously, a bad night for Jonas Korpisalo, but as Noodles would say, we're goalie huggers on this show. I think the boys left him out to dry more often than not. Like the first 4 goals, I didn't think he had much chance on. The 5th one he knocks in himself, but this was just a terrible effort all round for pretty much every single Ottawa Senator. Like, I don't know how we're going to have any Sens Central standouts. Maybe one comes to mind, but
yeah, and I mean, yeah, you're right, Pilsy. Like they just couldn't get anything going for themselves, and it seemed like every time Anaheim got a second crack at a puck, it was going in the back of the Sens net. So I don't know, man. It's interesting. I thought for a second there that the Sens might be able to rip off a few wins here with these weaker opponents, but an Anaheim Ducks team that is no better record wise than Ottawa, basically running train on them tonight. Like it was scary.
It was a clinic.
It was an absolute clinic. So, I mean, you look at the goal scores for Anaheim too, and it's kind of a lot of the guys you expect, right? Frankie Vetrano's been lighting it up this year. Yep. He's got 23 now after this game. Mason McTavish is kind of a bit of a local guy who,
looked good out there.
He did look good out there. And I was talking to my buddy before the game, and during the game, I was like, yeah, look out for him, right? So Mason McTavish gets his stuff done. He gets 2 tonight. He's got 15 now in the season. And then Cam Fowler, he's like their version of Thomas Chabot, I find out there. He's very silky smooth. He kind of flies under the radar a lot of time. He logs a lot of minutes. So, he ends up getting one at the end of the game there too. So I don't know, man. I honestly, I don't have a ton to say about the Sens' effort. Honestly, it's like, they just got beat. They just got straight up beat. They weren't ready to go. So I don't know if they were feeling a little bit overconfident. Josh Norris didn't want to knock my seltzer off tonight. He didn't want to score goals. So guys like that, we need more out of guys like Norris. Stützle is another one, right? Who's probably not playing up to the most of his ability. A lot of giveaways from Timmy tonight. Over stick handling. I get some tape on that stick, Timmy. Like, jeepers.
Maybe finish off the blade with some tape there, because it was not hanging on his stick very well tonight.
Oh, his stick is like it's almost like he's got grease on the thing. Like the way he's over stick handling and the puck's coming off of it, it's just like, man, like, what do we got to do here to just control the play and make some good plays out there? Timmy didn't have it tonight. A lot of the boys didn't have it tonight. Special teams was absolute garbage. You know,
Doesn't get much worse, Martian. The Anaheim Ducks go 2 for 2. Math guy,
100%.
100%. And I'll do some more math for you, Martian. The Ottawa Senators go 0 for 4. That's good for 0%. So when you're getting destroyed in the special teams like that, you don't stand much of a chance to win the game. However, on the flip side, if you're the Anaheim Ducks and you're sitting there with 15 straight minutes without a shot on goal in the middle of the game, you're probably thinking you also don't deserve to win this game. Yet they come out with a commanding 5-1 win over the Ottawa Senators. And Martian, it was just a few nights ago, the Montreal Canadiens dusted the Ducks 5-0. And now the Ottawa Senators lay an egg like this and allow the Ducks to just walk right over them on their home turf.
Yeah, I mean, it's garbage, Pilsy. And one of the things that I really noticed tonight, just being on the lower level and watching the guys on the forecheck a lot, because we were in 113 for the first period where the Sens were shooting, so we're right there in the fifth row.
Nice.
And then second period, we jetted over to the box, my work company box. We're shooting the other way, get a couple free beers and a nice easy piss without having to wait in line, right? That's not a big deal.
Huge.
And then we're watching the forecheck though, and then we go back to our 113 seats for the third period. But we're watching the Sens on the forecheck, and I kept on saying, I'm like, why are we not burying guys on these forecheck plays? Like, there's so many opportunities I saw. Actually, the first goal in particular, Matty Joseph could have killed that
Minchikov.
Minchikov, he could have smoked him behind the net. He was making an outlet play and he laid up. He decided not to hit him. I mean, it would have been an absolute monster collision. They were both flying. But as soon as, Minchikov gets free there, he goes the other way and he ends up getting that goal. But if Matty Joe would have I'm not knocking Matty Joe. He had a great game in his own, but he could have absolutely killed that kid behind the net, and he just didn't. And there were several times where I'm watching the Sens on the forecheck where they could have laid into guys and they just fly by. It's like, dude, hit them. We're calling for it. Like, I had a couple animals sitting behind me in 113 as well, by the way. It was like a full beer league team of dudes who are Sens fans. Nice. And they were classic, but like we were all calling for it. It's like, dude, why are they not hitting anybody? It's actually scary how this league is. And I'm by no means knocking the women's game, but they're more physical than the NHL right now. I'm serious. It's scary how these guys are not committing the hits. It's the no-hit league. It's the NHL. It's the no-hit league.
And that's the thing, Martian. Like, you got the kind of squad that, okay, maybe you're gripping the stick too tight offensively. You're not getting the chances you think. This team has the guys that can turn it around physically, like Brady Tkachuk, Parker Kelly. Like, these guys should be running guys through the board, Ridley Gregg, to try to spark up some intensity. There just wasn't any of that in tonight's game. And I thought there was a lot of guys that kind of were zeros out there. You already mentioned Tim Stützle. Not a great game for him there. Jacob Chychrun didn't like his game. Like, McTavish got in his kitchen near the end there, behind the play, behind the net. Chychrun lost his mind, and McTavish ends up, both of them end up going to the box. But you could tell the frustration from Jacob Chychrun. I thought Drake Batherson didn't exactly have a great game either. Like, there was just so many guys where, like, you hope that of all the offensively talented players that this Ottawa Senators team has, you hope that more than just Claude Giroux, the guy in his late 30s, could get things going here. But ultimately, no one really. I thought there was a couple decent chances, but not enough up against a weak Anaheim Ducks team that was barely getting shots on goal. But yet, anytime they had prime opportunities, they seemed to be burying them.
Yeah, and that, like, Mason McTavish is one of those kids. We used to hear the stories of him in his draft year coming back to Ottawa and playing against Claude Giroux in, like, scrimmages and, giving him the business, right? So he doesn't care who he's up against. It doesn't matter if it's Jacob Chychrun, who's a star in this league, who, is well established, and Mason McTavish is establishing himself, at this point in his career. But he doesn't care who it is. He's going to get in your grill. And that's the kind of hockey that, like, I really appreciate. As soon as guys realize that they, I don't care if I've been watching you play for the last 10 years of my life, when I'm coming up, they get right in their face. It's like Ridley Gregg, same thing now, right? But Mason McTavish is a really good player. So, he doesn't care if it's Jacob Chikrin or anyone else out there that he's dealing with. He's gonna do his own thing out there, and the Sens need to just be more ready. I feel like for a team like the Ducks, where to me it's them looking at this group and saying like, oh, we're gonna beat the crap out of these guys, right? We're playing well. We've got our stuff together here. And the Ducks caught the Sens sleeping tonight because they obviously weren't ready as they could have been.
Big time. And as producer Ross titled this episode, Worst Effort This Season Brings Ottawa Senators win streak, a 4-game win streak, their largest of the season, to a screeching halt. And it's too bad because, like, if you're able to put away the Ducks, then you got Chicago, another team you should be able to beat, and you can keep this rolling to try to get some momentum heading into next week, where you're going to be up against 2 powerhouse teams in Florida. And if you're looking on the graphic here, like, Ottawa is beating the Ducks in all the statistic categories we have, essentially, except for blocks, which, I mean, the Ottawa Senators had a lot more shots, so that's going to happen. And then this is what I want to key in on here, Martian, is the 0 for 4 power play. Like, I thought the Ducks, it almost was like things were going too well for the Ducks, and they were trying to give this one back. And you could see the frustration. I'm blanking on the Ducks head coach, but you could see the frustration on his face when they're getting those penalties. He's like, man, are we really going to shoot ourselves in the foot like this? And
yeah. Well,
and the Ottawa Senators don't take advantage. Like, I didn't even think there was that many good opportunities on the power play.
Yeah, and it's Greg Cronin that is the head coach.
Greg Cronin, yep.
Yeah, but at the same time, man, like the Sens personnel decisions on the power play right now is so wonky to me. It's like you've got Josh Norris, who's like the off-wing sniper who is playing power play 1, but they've got him playing the left side.
I hate that so much.
He should be back on the right because otherwise he's useless. Basically. And then you've got Dominic Kubalik out there on the second unit. Like, what is he doing out there? He's a joker. Like, he doesn't score. He doesn't do anything. They're trying to, there's a lot of talk of him obviously getting traded. They're trying to showcase him, but like, what's this guy worth at this point? Pilsy, if they get a 6th round pick for him, I'll be shocked. You know what I mean? He's not doing anything out there. So why is he getting power play time? He shouldn't be. Throw out Ridley Gregg out there. Honestly, he's an absolute dog. He's going to do the right things. And he's going to make the right plays. The personnel issues to me is the storyline there with the power play going 0 for 4 tonight. I was screaming from the rooftops tonight at Pilsy. I was like, well, why is Kubalik on the ice? First of all, it makes no sense. And the Josh Norris thing is a whole other thing, but whatever. I'm not going to ride him too hard, even though he didn't want to knock my seltzer off tonight. I tried to get him to. It was
spill my drink, you coward.
The warm-ups are funny, right? There's a lot of kids around. I feel like a bit of a loser standing there trying to get him to knock my car. Whatever. But he didn't. I don't even know if you even saw it. But at the same time, like, he could have came in there and smoked the glass and then also like accidentally hit a kid. So like, maybe it's better that he didn't.
Yeah, maybe it's better. And you get to keep your $13 alcoholic beverage, which if you were watching this game like the rest of us, you probably needed that beverage amongst other beverages, as you got one cracked right now. And it was a tough one for the Ottawa Senators to lose a game like this. And there's really no excuses for it. Like, all it comes down to is lack of effort. Like, it just seemed like this Anaheim Ducks team was pissed off. The Ottawa Senators were riding high on their 4-game win streak, and they had almost that entitled attitude, and the Ducks were like, we got something to prove here. And they proved it with a 5-1 win over the Ottawa Senators, where no one was really good. After the break, we will try to come up with some Sen Central standouts. Martian, you can take this time to pause and ponder and take a look at your notes and the stats and think, is any one of these players in this dumpster tire fire of a loss worth standing out? But I'll beat you to it, Martian. There is one standout, or at least a place that's a Sens Central standout. And that is the Glebe Central Pub, a magical place where the vibes are free at the GCP. You can find them at 779 Bank Street. We love the Glebe Central Pub because they are the official sponsor of the Postcast. They're one of our OG local sponsors. And by now, all of you good people in the chat know about the Glebe Central Pub. Every time we start these ad reads, people start talking about Sue. We know how legendary Sue is. Sue, for people that don't know, is the bus driver that drives the Sens shuttle that will take you from the Glebe Central Pub to the CTC, have a couple seltzers with the Piller Martian, have a good time, and then get back on the bus and go right back to the GCP and have yourself a blast. Keep the good times going, or keep the sorrows drowning in your seltzers or in whatever drink you want, because in the Postcast, we vent, we vibe, and the Glebe Central Pub is the perfect place to vent or vibe, especially amongst friends. Misery loves company. So join other Sens fans at the Glebe Central Pub. Check out the Sens shuttle so you can go to more Sens games. That they want to get as many Sens Central citizens to the games as possible. Only $17 for a round trip. Guys, check out the Glebe Central Pub today. The vibes are free at the GCP. And this episode is also brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Do you want tickets in section 113 and in the box so that you can flip from watching the Sens on one side of the ice to the other? Well, Martian, a way you can do that, and a way you probably did that, was through the Game Time app, because the Game Time app is the official ticketing app of the Locked On Podcast Network. And we love it because it's the fast and easy way for you to buy tickets to sports like the Sens game, comedy like the Sens game, music. The Sens DJ is awesome, although we don't love Hell's Bells more than we love Danger Flutes, and theater, maybe some tragic theater like the Sens game. Because with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and a best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. And the Game Time guarantee means you will always get the best price. In fact, if you find tickets in the same section in a row for less, Game Time's going to go ahead and credit you 110% of the difference. Math guy, that's money back in your pocket. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. You're saving money again. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON. I'll spell it out for you. LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Whew. All right, we are back.
Hey, Rosie, great job on those ad reads, brother.
I was feeling myself on those ad reads.
I wish I could help you. I don't get those scripts, so I don't.
You had the guaranteed part down pat. I should have passed it over to you to just put that one away. Just tuck that one away like Mason McTavish did backdoor on Jonas Corpusalo for one of his goals, one of his 2 goals on the power play. Martian, I have given you time to reflect, to do some soul searching. Mm-hmm. Is anyone on this Sens roster worth a Sens Central standout? Anyone? I
mean, to me, there's one guy, and it's partly because of my seating location. I had a great spot in the third period when Claude Giroux came down. He kind of created this one for himself. It was an unassisted goal, I believe. He turned it over in the neutral zone and then kind of walked it in nice and slow, the way Claude does. You know, he slows the game down nicely. He's a veteran, and he walked that thing in and he just ripped it. And you know what? Something about him is he doesn't shoot a ton every game. But when there's a weaker goalie, or I don't want to say weaker goalie, because I think Donskoy is it, what's his name? Is it Donskoy? Dostal. Sorry, my bad.
You're thinking of Jonas Donskoy.
I was, yeah. No, Dostal is a younger goalie who's kind of unfamiliar probably to Claude Giroux. And he goes, I want to test this guy out. And Claude's got a great shot when he decides to unload it. And that's what he did. So he let a nice little wrister go. It was right in front of me. It was beautiful to watch, Pilsy. Despite it being, 4-0 at that point, 4-1 after the goal. And for me, it's got to be Claude Giroux. He played a solid, it was a 1934 out there for Claude. 50% of the dot. It's not his best night, but it's better than average. It's about average, I guess. And I thought Claude was his guy. So just the fact that he scored the goal, for me, I'll give him the standout for that alone.
Yeah, Martian, I think that when I alluded to there's one guy maybe that could have a Sen Central standout, it was Claude Giroux, and the chat seems to agree with you as well. A
Yeah.
couple people saying, stick taps to Gannett. Branny had a decent game with some block shots, but no one else really had enough of a game to elicit a Sen Central standout here. We're going to hear what head coach.
Maybe you should do an anti-standout.
Yeah, true. A stand down. Sen Central
Stand down.
That actually is something we should do. And Martian, I'm sure you and I will get to coin that
maybe
phrase.
for loss, we just hammer the boys.
Yeah, I think we'll be able to coin that phrase often. And just like the weird loss music at the start of the postcast, that's like Lalim's Martian and Brandon Piller WWE entrance song right there. At this point, we're getting sick.
Dude, what is wrong with
hearing that one?
Us? Is it us?
I really didn't think it was us, Martian, but it can only be chalked up to the fact the Sens heard on the podcast it was going to be a Pilsy and Martian one. And they're like, well, let's keep taking these nights off.
And it's not even like they just lose when you and I are doing the postcast. They get smoked every time. It makes it very difficult. But
yeah, if there's a Sen Central citizen in the chat that has too much time on their hands and wants to do a goal differential for the different hosts of the postcast, that would be greatly appreciated. It'd probably be well into the negatives. We'd have Winnipeg wind chill temperature, probably goal differential of Lalim's Martian and Pilsy postcasts here. Later on, we're going to do what we always do, or try to always do in the postcast. Listen to Jacques Martin. Let's see if he can explain it to us that makes sense, or at least can try to instill some sort of hope. Or maybe he's just going to lay into the boys just like we have been. But Martian, before we do that, and producer Ross, hold off on that because I want to ask Martian one more question here. You were at the game. You got to see the vibes of how things were going. So is this the kind of game where Martin, we haven't heard from him yet, so maybe this is what he does. Let's see. But he just goes, all right, let's burn the tape on this one. Shred it, forget it, leave it alone. Or is this one where you're like, tomorrow morning, bright and early, all 23 of you guys plus goalies are getting in the film room and we're breaking this down because this is unacceptable and we can't let this happen again.
To me, you can't just burn the tape on any game at this point in the season, right? You gotta teach these guys. Failure is the best teacher for being better. Apologies, my dog is going, but failure's good for teaching lessons. So for me, it's like you gotta teach these guys what they did wrong. I'm sure there's tons of tape that proves that they had a terrible game. So for me, he's got to break it down. He's got to break that one down.
Yeah, that's fair. Hansel wants to get in the mix there too. He's not too happy about how that game turned out. So
sorry about that.
No worries at all. So you've heard enough from me. You've heard enough from Martian. You've heard enough from Hansel. Producer Ross, why don't we throw it over to head coach Jacques Martin?
Jacques, did you get a sense early on that this was going to be maybe one of those games?
Yeah, I thought, I just didn't think that our compete level was high enough. I mean, I give them credit. They outworked us. They worked hard. They were on the puck. We didn't have time and space. And, it's a team that obviously, they had lost badly the last game. They had hard practice yesterday and, they got the message. And, we had a good stretch going. So I think that, we just got to regroup, and it's not the opposition. We've got to be better, I think. So we'll have a meeting and practice and get ready for our next game.
Was there anything said after the first period, and just because you started was there anything said after the first period? You started the second, I think, not allowing a shot for something 12 minutes, and then.
Yeah, I thought we did a better job, but still, we didn't have a lot of chances. We had some, like the chances. I think the second period were 5-5. Again, probably tonight. Last game, the special teams won the game for us. Tonight, they were the ones that got 2 power play goals and 2 opportunities, and we didn't get anything on the power play. So we needed to be better on our special teams, and and we need to be better overall.
Was the decision just to change up the lineups in the second period and the lines something to kind of both change the?
Yeah, third period, I changed. I shuffle all the lines and just trying to get some life, trying to get something going, and it just maybe Ridley Gregg's got an empty net. misses the net. Maybe if we score there, maybe, it's early in the period. Maybe it gives us some more life. But hey,
He just
those things
flagrant.
happen. I think we just gotta be prepared tomorrow to to do an examination of the game and be prepared for Saturday.
So Jacques keeping it short and sweet there, and yeah, that is a good point by him. Though I was ready to pull my hair out on that one. Look, obviously we love Ridley Gregg, but he's usually a meat and potatoes guy. He's got a wide open, well, I shouldn't say wide open, but he's got a prime scoring opportunity. He does pull a move that fools Gibson and it opens that net up even more for him. But then he loses it, and you're like, I think if he just would have ripped it quickly, you could have beat him there. So that was frustrating. Much like this entire game was frustrating, and Martian Jacques kind of followed suit with what you were saying and said, hey, we're going to get back to practice and take a look at what went wrong here. And I'm going to take a look back at that. I lost count. Someone should do a shrug count on Jacques there. And that perfectly embodies what to do when you're trying to explain this game from the Sens. It's like, well, it was just a bad effort and we'll try to do better. It's just a total shrug of a game.
I know. I love Jacques these days in the media. I remember him for sure, in the first stint, when he was the coach of the Sens, and the way he was a little more I don't know if stern is the right word, but maybe, he was always very direct and,
yeah.
And now he's very open and he's very he's available.
Got nothing to lose.
Every availability he has, he's got nuggets, right? Yeah. That are the great insights into the team. I know Ross tweeted out a great tweet earlier today about his availability prior to the game tonight, and I'm really liking Jacques' vibe that he's bringing to this group. Obviously, they need a guy like him who's a teacher who can hold them accountable to all the different little details in the game and things like that, but. He's doing a good job. I definitely, you can't blame Jacques. When the team fails, it's not on him. It's the team. It's the same old stuff that's creeping back into their game. So I don't know. I like that. I like a little Jacques availability for sure.
Oh, we all do. It's a fun part of the postcast to listen to the head coach. And friend of the show, Mike Kelly, had a great Twitter thread on how the Sens have been playing under Jacques Martin. So go check that out if you haven't seen it already. We're going to try to get him on the show to discuss that sometime next week. And we're going to be discussing this game, unfortunately, again. But fortunately, it's the Locked On Senators podcast. We're going to be talking about it. Tomorrow's Friday. You guys know we'll have an episode for you on Apple, on Spotify, on YouTube. You can see our mugs. Try to figure out this game. We're going to get producer Ross's opinion on tomorrow's episode, but it's the postcast. We vent to revive. This was a vent cast, not a fine cast, not a vibing postcast. It was a vent cast, capital V vent cast.
Yeah, definitely a vent cast tonight. But Pillsy, let's focus on the positive a little bit here for you and I. We got a nice little Monday coming up here. Family
Yes.
Day, you and I are going to be heading to Belleville. We're going to be watching the Belleville Sens take on, I believe it's the Hershey Bears. Is that?
Yep.
Who yeah. So it's a nice little matinee. You know how I love a matinee. So Pills it's not all bad, buddy. Being a Sens fan is not all that bad. We got good times ahead, and obviously, producer Ross is throwing up the jersey here. Man, I love the way these things turned out. Obviously,
They're beautiful.
I mean, they look sick, right? There's another image too. I don't know if Ross is going to be able to pull it up for us, but they did the close up of the logo that I designed here. There it is. Yeah, perfect.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks, Ross. Yeah, dude. To me, that gets me going. That this is going to be on the ice.
Nailed it.
I love how they broke down all the little things that me and David Foote. David Foote was really the main guy that I was dealing with on the Belleville side for the designing of the jersey. Footy and I were going back and forth on all the little things that we wanted to change about the Senegal jersey, and then adding that logo. So really cool for me to be able to we're gonna get to witness this piece of art on the ice there, right? And the shoulder patches, that's something that Footy kind of put out there, and I was like, okay, I'll look into it, and then we got that done too. So I mean, it looks to me, I don't want to pump my own tires here, but I think it looks freaking awesome.
No, it's incredible, buddy. You did a great job. You nailed it. I'm a sucker for the laurels, so you hooked me up there. I'm going to be copping this jersey 100% when I am boots on the ground at CAA Arena in Belleville with you, Martian. I'm glad you brought that up. That's nice to leave it on a good note. Hey, everyone, if you're in the Belleville area or not, I'm driving 3 hours to get there. Martian's coming all the way from the nation's capital. Make it to this game. I don't want to see a green seat in the CAA Arena. Let's cover all those green seats. Let's get as many Sens Central citizens as we can there. And then we got the Senators playing later on. So you get double dose of Sens hockey on Monday, Family Day. I'm stoked to go back to where it all began for me from replay guy to going
Belly
with
fill-in.
belly fill in. And now I get to be joined by the graphic design extraordinaire of Lalim's Martian that will be making its debut on the ice, the belly jerseys. Make sure you get those. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Everyone in the chat. We love you guys. Misery loves company. This was a tough one. We vented. We got it all out. But we're going to hear about how Ross felt about this game in tomorrow's episode of the Locked On Senators podcast. So check it out. It was a 5-1 loss at the hands of the Anaheim Ducks. For myself, Brandon Piller, for @Lalim's Martian, for producer Ross, thank you for tuning in to another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, Postcast, the Ventcast. And you guys already know, since it's the Locked On Senators podcast, it's your team every day.